What good does this little blue plate do for our environment? Find out today on Indiana Outdoors. Welcome to Indiana Outdoors. I'm Jill Ditmire.
And I'm Don Van Meter.
And today we are near a heron rookery at Fort Harrison State Park in Indianapolis. And today it's an urban park, but at one time this was a military operation. They even had a POW camp here during World War II.
Yeah, and now it's a great place to come and hike and picnic and have a nice time. And it's a great place for wildlife. Later on in this program, we're going to be talking about the Indiana Heritage Trust, which is a program that develops even more areas for wildlife.
Great. Well, our first story today, though, is a thinking sport. It's called orienteering, and if you've ever been lost in the woods,
and I have,
and so have I, then you could learn a lot from this group. They're called the Indiana Crossroads Orienteering.
There's something fun about being lost in the woods and being able to find your way back out.
Orienteering began in the late 1800s and the early 1900s in the Scandinavian and Nordic countries. The military over there used it to train soldiers in navigation, and it kind of sprung out of that as a sport and a recreation. The goal is to just go through the markers in order using your map, a detailed topographic orienteering map as your primary tool, and then a compass just to keep oriented, and then you choose what you feel is the best course.
Well, this is a beautiful day. We're out here at Randsburg, which is a Boy Scout reservation southeast of Bloomington, and it's just a wonderful area for the Scouts and a wonderful area for orienteering.
The way to get involved in orienteering is just to show up at a meet like this one. We're very eager to get new people on board. I know sometimes it can be intimidating, but we offer training, and we definitely understand and appreciate that, you know, if we're going to see any growth in orienteering over the long term, it's crucial for those new people to come right up.
So you're going to spectate on both the red and the blue?
I'm one of the active orienteers down here in Bloomington, and I'm associated with the Indianapolis Orienteering Club, so they asked me to present the beginner's clinic this morning. You try to give people a sense of what the different symbols on the map mean, what the different colors on the map mean, a little bit of an idea of how you read the contour lines, which are the topographic features, the contours of the land. And then you also try to give them an idea of how to use the compass with regard to the map so that they can have the compass help them in their navigation. Up the hill, okay, pointing up the hill. So that's the kind of stuff you want to be looking for as you're going down the trail.
There are different levels of courses. The white course is the easiest course, and the blue course is the hardest one. And we have these flags, these controls are called in orienteering, and when you find what you're looking for, you find one of these. And there's a little clip that you punch. So you punch a card, and so when they come back, we know that they visited this particular control.
A typical meet for orienteering for our club is 2 hours. Most of our meets start at 11 a.m. and they finish at 1 p.m. You can start any time during that window. And typically we expect people to be back by about 3 hours after starting.
I think the amazing thing about orienteering is that you can do it at all levels. You can go out with the kids and just walk around slowly on the white course, or you can be a serious international competitor on the blue course.
I usually practice almost every day, and I'm specialized to orienteering, so I practice in orienteering maybe 3-4 times a week. You meet a lot of people around the world who do this. That's very nice.
There's a big variety of people that do orienteering. You see a lot of families come out, a lot of kids. You see people that are older do it because you can walk a course or you can choose to be competitive and run it. It's really up to you.
This is one of the several ways that a meet director can use to kind of post the results of the meet. These little stubs are part of the control cards that the participants use to take into the woods with them and actually punch at the controls. We put them up on a string in order of shortest to longest elapsed time, and it gives a nice visual feedback for the participants to go at the end of the meet and kind of see how they did.
To me, the best thing about orienteering is that it's fun, it's a game. I like that it's kind of like a scavenger hunt where someone is hidden stuff in the woods and you have to go find it. And I also like the aspect of it that you get better at it the more practice you get.
Today I'm talking with Eric Myers, Director of the Indiana Heritage Trust. Eric, it's a little cold today, but the sun is shining, and I suspect for you any day is a good day to talk about the Heritage Trust.
Well, the herons are back, and we're glad to be here.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're pleased that you came out so we can learn a little more about the Heritage Trust. Tell us a little bit about that program.
Well, the Indiana Heritage Trust was created in 1992 by the Indiana General Assembly, and it's meant to be a public-private partnership where dollars are raised from the public side, up to date, $16 million from the General Assembly.
Yes.
But we've been able to match that with $3 for every $1 from the private sector for license plate sales.
That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So license plate sales is one of the major ways that you get money for the trust.
By people going to their local license branch or via the mail, purchasing a plate, we have brought in almost $20 million to date.
20 million?
20 million.
And how long's that been?
Since 1992.
Since 1992. Has the funds been coming along pretty regularly, or do you have peaks and valleys in the purchase of license plates?
Well, at first it was slow going, getting people interested and getting the information out, but after the first couple of years, it's really gone gangbusters.
So how much each year, for example? What would be a typical year?
Well, I would say we would probably raise about 1.7 million per year, but the interesting thing is our partners, the people who we work with, not-for-profits, other governmental entities, bring another 2.3 million to the table for about a total of $4 million on average per year.
Well, that's a lot of money to do a lot of good things. Tell us a little bit about some examples of projects that you've done.
Well, the program is meant to help protect parks, forests, fish and wildlife areas, nature preserves, not only for our state government properties, but also for local land trusts and for local park departments. An interesting sidelight to this is that whenever the program was first started, back in 1992, there were only 3 land trusts in the state of Indiana.
Yes.
Now there are 23. 23.
Tell us a little bit about a land trust. Now, what exactly does a land trust do?
Well, a land trust has a defined geographical area. Sometimes are based on county lines. And these are interested citizens who incorporate as a not-for-profit 501c3 and are put in place to help protect land, raise money to protect land, and often manage the land.
Can you give us some examples of lands that you've helped protect around the state of Indiana?
Well, to date, we've protected 33,000 acres, and it's been wetlands, it's been trail corridors, it has been riverine areas, it has been new state forests, it's been inholdings, pieces of property within our state forestry boundaries that have come up for sale. We only deal with willing sellers, but there are a lot of people out there who are very much enamored with this program and want to see it succeed.
We're in central Indiana today. Are there examples here in central Indiana of lands that you've helped purchase?
Oh, definitely. There are, in all this county and Marion County, there are several. We have worked with Indy Parks. We have worked with Fort Harrison people here. We've also worked with some land trusts here. Central Indiana Land Trust, Nature Conservancy is one of our major partners.
Now, is it possible for Hoosiers to see some of these facilities?
Yes, many of them are open for public access. Yes. The only thing that would preclude that is if there would be a particular rare or endangered species that we're trying to protect, and disturbance would bother that movement.
So from up in Lake Michigan area all the way down to the Ohio River, you have land in between that you've helped preserve.
Over 63 counties have a Heritage Trust site in it.
And this is all kind of administrated by you and the Indiana Department of Natural Resources.
That's correct. That's correct. We have 2 public committees. These are groups that have been brought together. Project Committee, who is kind of our technical group, who looks at projects and determines whether they have merit. And then we have a Trust Committee, which really is the money people who apply the money to the projects.
Well, thank you, Eric, for telling us about this. We appreciate it very much. And I suggest that we all go out and buy environmental license plates and help protect some land for wildlife.
Thank you.
Well, on a cold day like this, most of us like to stay inside and exercise less. But at Pokagon State Park, which is located just about as north in Indiana as you can get, you'll find plenty of outdoor activities to keep you fit.
Pokagon State Park is located in Steuben County, which is in the far northeast corner of Indiana. We're about 3 miles from Michigan and about 13 miles from Ohio. The park was dedicated in 1925, Christmas of 1925. It was a Christmas present from the residents of Steuben County to the state of Indiana. So we've been around for over 75 years. Before that, before it was a state park, it was basically farm ground. A lot of the trees and stuff that you see were planted by the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Wow.
The toboggan track has been here since the Depression era when the Civilian Conservation Corps was here. Then it progressed through the years. People from in town started coming out and using it. And then in 1971 was the first year that it was refrigerated. And in 1985, there was a big remodel, and they built a new warming center. And it's busy. We have over 90,000 riders a year that come and use it. The toboggan track, as I said, is refrigerated. We have a big chiller that chills a fluid down, and the chiller chills that down to 10 degrees. And then what we have to do is we take hoses hooked up to frost-free water hydrants, and we spray a mist of water on top of the concrete, and that's what builds the ice up. So the sleds actually run on ice. And that's a kind of a misnomer that we need to have snow to run. We don't. We get this question a lot, how old do you have to be to go down the toboggan track? And as long as they can understand the rules, when they're spoken to them, then they can go.
Pokagon State Park in the wintertime, of course, we have the refrigerated toboggan slide. That's what people come from miles and miles to do. If we have snow, a good 6-inch base, we'll have cross-country skiing. If we have good ice out on Lake James, we'll have ice fishing, ice skating. We also have snowmobiling, not here in the park, but here in the county. We have a 30-mile snowmobile trail. So they can leave their machines on the trailers while they're in the park. And then when they leave the park, they can take them off and go snowmobile.
I think we draw people of all ages. Weekends, we have more families here. Weekends are definitely the busiest. But I think we're a family-oriented place more than anything. It's an excellent place to bring your family, to go camping and have family togetherness. And I think that's our focus, is to try to keep it a family place. But we open Thanksgiving Day, and then we're open through the last weekend in February. And we're open Friday nights from 5 to 10, Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sundays from 10 to 5. And I would suggest coming on Friday and Saturday evenings. We're really busy on Saturdays and Sundays. During the day, you may experience long lines and have to wait to get a sled.
For the first time on Indiana Outdoors, we're going to go hunting.
Yep, and we're probably going to get some phone calls and some emails about this story, Don.
Well, one of our crew members, Alex Lulinski, is an avid duck hunter, and he took his camera along on a trip to LaPorte County on his grandmother's farm.
Now, hunters start their day in the dark, so Alex lit the scene with his flashlight. Take a look.
Today on Indiana Outdoors, we're going to be hunting a beaver pond in northern Indiana.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
I've been watching this pond for you boys for a few days, and there's been some ducks going in there. I think you have a pretty good morning.
Exactly what county are we hunting in?
We're hunting in LaPorte County, about 6 miles south of Lake Michigan.
So you think we're going to get some birds this morning?
Yes, sir.
I'm excited. Let's go down and set them decoys and see what's going to happen.
Let's get them.
After talking to my brother Andy, we hiked down to the beaver pond with our decoys on our backs, and then separated into 2 groups once hitting the water's edge. 2 of us in the canoe and 3 of us in the boat. We set out to arrange the decoys in the correct pattern to lure the ducks into shooting range. We noticed that we had a good wind. The wind was at our backs, which is a good thing when waterfowl hunting, because the ducks will be flying and working in front of the duck blind. We set out the decoys and waited. We waited for the action to start, and then it happened. Paul, where's that bird at?
I'm Mallard. See.
Well, that's hunting, Joe. You're not going to get them all to come in.
Now that we got a little break in the action, let me describe what we're doing. I went with my family today, John, Kate, Joe, and Paul, and myself, Alex Walensky. We got down in this beaver marsh this morning, set the decoys out, and it looks like the ducks are working our way, and we bagged a couple already.
The art of blowing a duck call is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. Once learned, though, any waterfowl hunter will double their odds as they entice a duck into shooting range with the sweet, artificial quack that the duck call makes. And this is a neat toy. This is called the pole cord. It adds splash and motion to the decoy spread, drawing the ducks closer. Let's see how they do on this duck.
This duck here has jewelry on it. For those of you that don't know, the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife bans ducks to track their migration across the states. So tell me something, Joe. Even though we only bagged a couple birds this morning, and some mornings can tend to be pretty cold out here, and you're breaking ice, got a real cold wind, it's snowing, or sleeting. Why is it you continue to come out here and hunt these ducks?
Alex, it's obvious. It's nature. I love it. All right, we got all three. Yeah, baby. Good shooting.
Those 3 put us at a limit of wood ducks and mallards, and it's once again time to leave the marsh. Many waterfowl hunters like to leave the marsh with their limits, but that does not always happen. Most of the time, a shot is not even fired, or not even one duck is seen. Most hunters just love to be in the outdoors and enjoy the camaraderie of their friends, or like me and many other waterfowl hunters, it has become an addiction.
Well, Jill, in this next story, there's no dead animals.
Thank goodness.
Well, this is a very historical place at Fort Harrison, and we're going to go to another historical site at Metamora. And there's lots of good shopping there, too.
We like shopping, Don, but also we like to learn about history. And we spent a lot of time learning about the White Water Canal and not just shopping for antiques.
Okay.
Today we're at the Metamora State Historic Site. We're in the grist mill in downtown Metamora, Indiana. Year-round we have several things that go on. Besides the special events that we have, like the Christmas walk, the day in, day out visitors can come to the grist mill and see how we operate the grist mill. And if they're in the right time, we'll be able to show them demonstrating grinding. If we were going to begin milling today, what we would end up doing is we would go out and turn the water wheel on. The water wheel would supply the power for the mills themselves. The RPMs out there generate around 5 horsepower, basically, for the mill itself. It is fed through a series of gears, goes into a shaft in the basement. And here in the basement, that's what we would have, is the various pulleys and clutches that engage different ones. The grist mill that we call the corn mill basically is a corn cracker more than anything else. The top stone turns, bottom stone doesn't move at all. Top stone is called the runner, the bottom stone is called the base or the nether stone. And we would hand feed into the top hopper, and it would fall through what they call a shoe, and that allows corn to go through the center of the stone, and the corn's crunched through the two stones. Now in the old days, you would not sift corn, but we did that so way because we have a fine machine that just kind of show how things would have worked. The corn we sell is today mainly for tourists. We have folks that just love to get it from the local area, but by and large, most of the time it is a tourism thing. Folks want to have here. It's kind of a different souvenir. And of course, we have the canal boat, which is pulled by 2 American-Belgian horses, and it plies up and down the canal at a bristling 4-mile-an-hour pace.
The boat here that we're riding on is the Ben Franklin III. Now this boat was built in 1989 down in Pascagoula, Mississippi. It's 75 feet long, 12 feet wide, and weighs about 10.5 pounds.
One thing that we really have that's unique at the White Water Canal State Historic Site is that we have the only covered bridge aqueduct in the United States.
An aqueduct is something that carries water from one place to another. They enlarged it, and since it carries water from one place to another, it can also carry a boat. So they put an aqueduct over the creek. And this is the Duck Creek Aqueduct. We're going over top of Duck Creek. This aqueduct was built in 1845, destroyed by a flood in 46, and rebuilt in about the same year.
The town itself has over 100 shops that are available. The shops deal with everything from candles to fudge to little teddy bears, all kinds of knickknacks and stuff like that. And the town also has the train that comes in specifically on weekends And the train comes down from Connersville, Indiana, and lets folks experience what it was like to ride a locomotive. We're trying to preserve history, but not actually necessarily preserving pieces of that were here, because they weren't. The mills were brought in from another location. We're not trying to be a first-person interpretation, you know, but we want to show folks, okay, here's what you could have come to, and this is what you would have done, and this is what you would have seen.
Well, that's our show for today. We hope you'll visit Fort Harrison State Park, or perhaps one of the areas that the Indiana Heritage Trust has saved.
And we'd like to thank Eric Myers for telling us more about the trust. Yes. And you can support it as well by buying one of these environmental license plates and putting them on your car.
Okay. Luckily, I brought my GPS unit so we could find our way back to the car. Do you know how to use one of these things?
No, that's why I'm with you, Don.
Okay, just press this button here and let's head that direction, okay?
And we hope to see you next time on Indiana Outdoors.
Bye, everybody.
Are you sure this is the way to go?
I think it's right over here.
Okay. Well, this thing will